Good morning, friends. It is Monday morning. If you are new here, my name is Candy. I am a mom to 5. On my channel, I share homeschooling, homesteading, gardening, day in the life, what's for dinner, canning, grocery hauls, all kinds of fun stuff. If you are coming back from other videos, welcome back. So I thought I would kind of do an update on things. I filmed very rarely over the last several weeks, so I have a few vlogs coming out this week, but there's kind of big gaps in time between them. So I thought I'd just kind of do an update. So this Friday, James gets his cast off, and then they're also going to re-x-ray his arm and his shoulder, and then decide if he gets to do physical therapy, which would be a really good thing because he's already been out of work for almost 2 months now, I guess. And he's anxious to go back to work. Christmas is coming. It's all very stressful. So yeah, he's gonna find out this week if he gets to do physical therapy soon. So that's kind of an update on him. He's doing pretty good, just bored out of his mind at the minute. He is at home binge watching Yellowstone, so that's kind of keeping him occupied. So yeah, so that's an update on James. I guess I will give a few updates on kids. I know some people say, like, if you talk about your kids on YouTube or, you know, social media, that you're exploiting them, and I don't feel like that's necessarily true. I try to kind of be realistic with everybody. Life isn't this perfect, happy-go-lucky. My house is a perfect place. My kids are perfect kids. My husband's a perfect husband. My life is perfect. Yay, yay, yay. Because that's not real, and I want to be real. My house is a mess pretty much 24/7. Usually I clean one room and 3 other rooms become a mess while cleaning that room. But that's real. I have mountains of laundry all the time. That is going to be my evening tonight. I'm going to be folding laundry forever. So that being said, when it comes to my kids, my family, I try to be real with you guys because I know that you guys are just real people. Like, I'm a real person, and my kids are real people. My husband's a real person, and life is real. I mean, why hide the bad and pretend the life is perfect when maybe by discussing things that are going on with our family, I'm helping somebody else who's going through the same thing, or maybe somebody that watches my video will say, hey, have you tried this or that? And I am always open and welcome to any suggestions, ideas, thoughts. Sorry, I'm itching. My psoriasis is starting to flare up from the cold air, and I've been itching, big raw sores everywhere. So I try really hard not to, but not doing the best job. Anyways, so that being said, I'm going to kind of give some updates on my kids because, you know, there's a lot going on, and if anybody has any thoughts or ideas, I would certainly welcome those. I'm just going to kind of go through and talk about each kid because I've got a few kids with health issues and special needs, and yeah, there's a lot going on. Okay, so CJ, let me turn my fans down a little bit. CJ's been having some issues with passing out and zoning out and a facial twitch, and when I talked to his doctor about it, they wanted him to go to the cardiologist because his heart rate was so low. So I took him to the cardiologist. They said his heart rate is low because he's so active and his heart's so strong, and there was nothing to worry about. That being said, they thought he was having a seizure disorder and that he should see a neurologist. So we went to a neurologist a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I don't know. I did a video, I believe, that day. Went to the neurologist. We were there all day. We had a bunch of testing, a lot of like physical evaluations, different things. And while we were there, Basically, she said she thought he was having sequobal and focal seizures, and he also has a tick in his face. They're ordering an EEG and a brain MRI to find out the cause, why, you know, all that stuff, because obviously something is going on with him. The insurance did finally approve the MRI, so I'm going to call when I get home, try to get that scheduled and going, because we need answers. It's been literally a year and 2 weeks since he started the passing out and stuff. The first time he did it was at my father-in-law's house last October. My father-in-law was very ill, and CJ had stayed with him for about 2 weeks on and off. He and I would alternate, like I would be there all day, and then CJ would stay the night there so that he could call me if my father-in-law passed out or started losing blood again, anything like that. And because we didn't have the option of like a nurse or something, and my husband was working, and so it was just kind of me and CJ. And he started the passing out then, and we thought maybe my father-in-law's house was too hot, but then he continued to do it at home. So we'll find out soon, I think, what's going on for sure, and maybe have some answers. But yeah, that's kind of an update on CJ. I'll let you guys know when his MRI is and how it goes, because I'm hoping it'll give us a lot of answers. So that's kind of it for him. As far as Mika goes, there's a lot. I don't know that I've fully talked about some of the issues that she has, so I guess I kind of need to go into that. She was born at 43 weeks. They kept telling me she would come when she would come. And like with my first, they induced me at 39 weeks. And I didn't know that that was like kind of a bad thing. Like, you don't want to be induced just to be induced. But with my first, they induced me 39 weeks. He was born exactly a week before Thanksgiving. He was due on Thanksgiving. So when I had her, then it was, well, she'll come when she comes, she'll come when she comes, and I ended up 3 weeks past my due date. She was due July 7th. I didn't have her till the 30th. And then when I had her, my water broke. I mean, like, it broke. And then we got to the hospital. Nothing progressed for like 8 hours. And then they came in and they broke my water some more. And it was like a lot. And then after I had her, she was only 6 pounds, 6 ounces. She was itty bitty, like 18 inches long. I mean, she was the tiniest baby. Like, her preemie clothes were baggy on her, even though she was 6 pounds. And they told me she had had too much fluid in the womb while I was pregnant, and that may have caused her some issues. But I don't know why they didn't catch that or tell me that while I was pregnant. But yeah, they told me there was too much fluid. And anyway, so we went home. She started having issues with breathing, kept taking her to urgent care and stuff. They kept saying it was just allergies and she was too young for medicine. Finally, I just ran into her doctor's office one day crying and was like, there's something wrong with my baby. I want somebody to help me now. And the doctors, like the ladies at the front, were like, no, we can't do anything. We can schedule you in 2 weeks. And the doctor was in the hallway, and she said, well, just bring her back. And they brought us back, and she listened to her, and she said, there's something going on. Come through the hallway to the MRI office. We're just going to do an MRI, and we're not going to wait on insurance. And we're going to see what's going on. And this still gets me upset, because it's hard to talk about. So they did the MRI, and they said that her throat was collapsing anytime she'd take a deep breath or anything. And so they sent us to OU. OU said she had laryngomalacia, or LM, and it's floppy tissue in your throat. And she ended up having to have pretty immediate surgery. I think it was like 2 days later. She had surgery to correct it, to remove some tissue so she could breathe and swallow and things. So we did that, and they told us, she would start growing and things would get better. Well, her breathing did get better, but she didn't start growing. Like I said, she was born 6 pounds. At her first birthday, she was 12 pounds, 3 ounces. I'd fought so hard to get weight on her. We were taking breast milk and adding the high-fat formula to it, and it was just doing nothing. We did anything and everything the doctors told us to do to make her gain weight, and nothing. She was wearing 0 to 3 month clothes at her first birthday party. And the 12-month tutu I had ordered, while I was pregnant with her, I ordered a 12-month tutu because I was so excited to have a little girl's birthday and stuff when she was older and turning 1. It literally was touching the ground on her because it was so big. And we used a safety pin or something to make it fit her waist. But yeah. So then they labeled her failure to thrive because she just wasn't growing. But nobody really did anything. They just kept telling me to try to put the fat on her. When she turned 1, I put her on goat's milk and added the high-fat formula to that for a while. Didn't add any weight to her. It was just that, feeding her anything and everything she would eat, she just doesn't gain weight. Even now, she's 12 and a half, and she's only 60 pounds. So, that being said, she's always struggled with her weight. She ended up having to have multiple throat surgeries over the years. The last one to remove tonsils and adenoids because she just needed her airways more open. So she's got, she started from the beginning with some issues, and then when she turned 2, she was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis. She tested positive in the labs for it. It took OU 4 years to get her in as a rheumatoid arthritis patient. So we waited and waited and waited and did the best we could for her pain levels and her inflammation in between. And then after 9 months of seeing the doctor there, she left OU. We were able to find her about 30 minutes from OU, so it's a 30-minute longer drive for us, but we went to where she was because my daughter was really comfortable and loved her, and we know that she's not a drug pusher or medication pusher, but she will do whatever's best for my daughter, and she always emails back. And I think communication with doctors is so important. So yeah. But that being said, she's had a lot of struggles. She has learning disabilities. She has visual and auditory processing disorders, dyslexia, dysgraphia. And I hate putting labels on things, but if we didn't get her tested and find out these things, I can't teach her appropriately to help her. And so, we've had a lot of evaluations over the years to kind of figure out where she is and, how things stand with her, I guess you could say. That being said, she has a lot of learning disabilities and the failure to thrive. And, I'm sorry, I'm trying really hard not to get myself upset talking about things. So she also very frequently breaks bones. I'm sure you guys have noticed that if you watch our videos very often. She's had over 12 breaks and fractures, and she's broken her pelvis, she broke both her forearms multiple times, she's broken a wrist, she's broken her nose. I don't even know offhand. Basically, anytime she goes out and plays with my other kids and they're out there being wild, climbing trees or something, she ends up with a broken bone. And my other kids do the same thing she does, and they don't break bones. She did a handstand on the back of our four-wheeler and snapped her arm once. My other kids were doing handstands on the back of the four-wheeler too. Nobody broke a bone. And by the way, the four-wheeler wasn't moving. It was parked, just to clarify. But she breaks bones very frequently, and her doctors and the urgent care doctors keep saying, you know, we really need to get her into genetic testing. Well, insurance has put it off. They finally approved it. We waited a year to get in there at OU Genetics. By the way, OU is awful to get your kid into any specialty clinic if you need to do that. I'm just saying. But yeah, we waited a year. They did her genetic testing a week ago. They tested her for missing an extra chromosomes and a few other things related to that because of the learning disabilities and some family history of stuff. And then they also tested her for brittle bone disease, and they said something like 110 other bone diseases just to make sure and rule out everything that it could be. And then they also did a test for cancers because everybody in my family gets cancer. I mean, like, everybody. And so they said it would tell us whether or not she had any cancer risk and what those risks are so that we can be proactive. So, yeah, that's kind of what they did. And then they said both my boys, based off their health issues that they have, need to get swabbed and done too because they're at high risk of all the things she's at high risk of. And yeah, so both my boys need to come in. And then also they said that I needed to come in for the cancer test because I'm 36 years old. A lot of my family members around age 40 develop cancers and terminal cancers. And they said, again, I need to be proactive. I need to find out if I'm susceptible to or already have some type of cancer, so that they can, you know, we can be proactive with things. And I'm really scared of that. But at the same time, if it helps me to be a mom longer and do whatever I need to do, then that's, you know, I guess a good thing. I'm just kind of scared, you know, I'm scared. So that's how her genetic appointment went. And the week before, she had to have labs because we didn't know if genetics was going to do blood. They told us it was a possibility, but they only did several mouth swabs. But they didn't do blood. But the week before, I took her for her blood for her arthritis doctor because of the chance of having to do labs twice in a day and her being itty bitty, and she doesn't do well with labs anyway. So I took her the week before for her labs, and her arthritis doctor had those in when we went to see her. Her kidney count, her liver count, and her blood sugar were all really high. The doctor, she was concerned with that because some of the arthritis medication she does take can cause kidney and liver issues. And so normally this time of year when she takes her pills, she takes her arthritis pills once a week, and she during the summer takes 4. During the winter she takes 5 because that's when she has a harder time. So she's been taking 4, and the doctor said instead of increasing it to 5, we're going to drop it down to 3, which is obviously not going to be the best thing for her health wise. And she's probably going to have a really bad flare and a hard winter because of that. But we don't know if it's her kidneys and liver that are being damaged by the pill. And so she dropped that down to 3. She said, make her as comfortable as possible. Heat, ice, her pain medicine, whatever we need to do. And if she can't tolerate it, then call her and they'll figure it out. But we are going to go back in a couple of months to rerun those labs and see where she is. And then also we need to follow up with her primary care doctor on her blood sugar and find out what's going on with that. We don't have anybody in our family that has childhood diabetes or anything. So I don't know if that was just kind of a weird thing or what was going on that her blood sugar was so high. But I guess we'll find out. And at the same time, I know that weight loss with kids who are diabetic is a thing. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out soon enough. But that's kind of, it was a rough day between the genetics appointment and the arthritis appointment. A really rough day. In between appointments, we had a little bit of time, and my father-in-law insisted he send lunch money for her and Bubba because, you know, they have a hard time being that they both have arthritis and things, and he wanted them to have kind of a fun lunch date in between, and he said take them somewhere good. Mika and the arthritis lab tech guy that does the blood had talked the week before about a big truck tacos, and so he kept telling her, if you want a really good, like nasty good, messy good taco, go to Big Truck Tacos. And so that's what they wanted for lunch. So between appointments, we went over there. They had tacos for lunch. Mika had lingua tacos with I'm trying to think, bell peppers and onions, I think. Bubba had a chicken and tomato taco with shrimp added, and then Mika had beans, and they both had sour cream and salsa. And yeah, and then we went to the arthritis appointment. But our lunch was kind of a nice break between the appointments because it was a lot to take in. From the genetic office to the taco place, I was just like gripping the steering wheel and silently crying and trying to not let the kids know I was crying because it was just so much to take in. Yeah, so I guess we'll know some things soon on the, well, not soon. The genetic doctor said it'd be a month. So I've got 3 more weeks to sit and stew on all that, and I need to get things moving with the boys and myself as far as all that. And then when it comes to Bubba, his arthritis is getting a little worse. Right now we're still maintaining it with Zyrtec and ibuprofen, because she said when his allergies flare up real bad, it causes more inflammation in his body, she's noticed. So he takes Zyrtec and ibuprofen every day. Sometimes in the summer he can let off of the ibuprofen and just do Zyrtec, but it just depends. Because like I said, winter's harder. He does always have to take the ibuprofen and Zyrtec as soon as he gets up, because as soon as he gets out of bed, he comes down and he says, Mom, my knees hurt. And so we take our medicine, eat our breakfast, and then go about our day. She said if he continued to get worse, we were going to have to look into some of the medications like Mika takes. So we're trying to hold off as long as we can on that. It's kind of odd. Things with him, he didn't have the laryngomalacia like her when she was a baby, but he has the same delays in walking and crawling, developmental delays like she had. Like she didn't crawl till she was 1 or sit up till she was like 14 months, things like that. So he has a lot of those delays. He has the same learning disabilities that she has, and he has arthritis like she has. So that's part of why they want him to get the genetic testing, is because there's clearly something going on. So yeah. Anyways, that's kind of like an update on kids. I don't want to leave out Penny and Maddie, but Penny's good. I mean, she's Penny. She's out there hugging chickens, hugging rabbits. When I left the house, she was giving animals hay and getting ready for this awful snow coming in. I don't like the cold. Penny loves the cold. My other kids hate the cold, but I mean, I have 2 with arthritis and 2 that just don't like the cold. Penny, I have to make Penny wear clothes in the winter because she will go outside in a tank top and shorts in the snow, and her Crocs. So they were out there. We have nest boxes in our chicken pen, but we just moved all those babies out there, and they don't get on the perches or in the nest boxes like the big chickens yet. So to keep them off the cold ground, Penny took Bubba's old dresser that we just replaced, and she pulled the drawers out, and she stuck those in the back of the chicken pen and loaded those full of hay so they can climb in there and stay warm. And last night, CJ covered the chicken pen in the black plastic we use during the winter to keep them warm. And we don't use a heat light for several reasons. One, it's a fire hazard. Two, if it goes off during the night, after your chickens have acclimated to that heat, they will die. It puts them in shock and they die. I grew up in a home where, and nobody judge me, okay? You know, I was a kid. What my dad did is what my dad did. But I grew up in a home where my dad fought chickens. It was legal here back then. And my dad fought chickens. We had hundreds of them. We had barns. We had fireplaces in our barns for our chickens. But that is something that I grew up knowing, like with chicks and stuff, you don't put a heat lamp in there. I know a lot of people do, but if it's 20 degrees outside and you have a heat lamp in the pen and it goes out for some reason, burns out, whatever, your chickens go from 80 degrees to 20 degrees instantly and they will die. So yeah. So we wrap our pen in plastic. It keeps all the wind out. It keeps their heat in. They have their they have their small pen that has a tin around it, and that's where their nest and everything is. And it has a door leading out to their, what we call their yard, and it's a wire pen. And then usually during the day, if the weather's good, we open it up and we let them free range. If it's cold and nasty and snowing, we keep them closed in. But that whole thing is encased in plastic right now. And so what we do is when they go out to feed and water chickens in the morning, they open it up, let the chickens be able to get into the yard, and they can still get back in their nest, but they aren't going out in the yard into the cold. And so that's kind of our winter solution for the chickens. So anyways, that's what Penny's doing right now. She's working on making sure her baby chicks are staying nice and warm at night so their little feet aren't on the bare cold ground. As for Maddie, she woke up when I left. We had our church's Thanksgiving dinner last night. She played hard. She ran around with her little friend Amelia, and she chatted with everybody at church, and it was a pretty big dinner, and she had a great time. And she laid down on the couch when we got home, face down, fell asleep, didn't move again. So that being said, she woke up at 9 o'clock this morning, hair sticking up everywhere, and was ready to play, but she's also apparently sick, I think. She's been coughing. She coughed the whole morning while I was getting ready to go. So I gave her some Benadryl and some Tylenol. Told her to lay down with her little mermaid tail blanket and watch TV with Daddy. So hopefully she's not outside with the other kids and she's staying warm and she listened to Mommy. And hopefully it's just allergies or something, but it sounded like a really wet cough. And she never gets sick. She's only been sick once in her life. She was 3 months old. She got flu A, flu B, and strep, and she was still smiling. But she's never been sick again. She doesn't get sick. And so hopefully she's not, but I'm a little bit worried. Anyways, that's kind of an update on everybody. And as for me, I'm mom. I don't know. You know, I very seriously take my job as a wife and a mother, and taking care of my kids and my family means the world to me. Making sure they have food on the table, making sure that my kids are learning, making sure that my husband is happy, all the above. It's also important to me. And I'm a very emotional person. I take a lot of things to heart. When it comes to having kids that are special needs or have health problems, it's very hard for me to feel like I failed my kids, because that's how I feel. I feel like I must have done something wrong. That my kids have problems and their lives aren't so easy as others, and so it's a lot. I'm trying to kind of process and work through and get myself to understand that it's not my fault. Like, I know it's not my fault, but I still feel like it's my fault. I don't know. Like, the logical person in me is like, Candy, you couldn't have done anything to prevent or help your children anyway. You're doing what's right for your kids by seeing the doctors, by taking the initiative to push to get these things taken care of. But then the mom in my heart's like, you should have been better at taking your medications. You should have been better at this. You should have been better at that. So anyway, that's just kind of like a life update for us, as to why I'm not vlogging a lot. I am going to try to get better at it. I've just, like I said, I've been processing a lot, doing a lot, and life has been super busy. But I do have some videos coming out. I have some videos to edit, so there will be more coming soon. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment below if you want to chat, and I'll see you guys soon with another new video. Bye, guys.
I've been feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else.